Okay, so hi Dorothy, it's good to see you again.
Here we are again.
Okay, so the idea of this is that we are following on from our previous session in terms of the design thinking process. And we thought we would just chat about perhaps the next two stages because they do follow on, but starting from the define stage of the process.
Yeah.
Okay, so thinking about this, it's the question that arises: why is this important? Why do we have to define what is the problem that we're actually trying to address? Well, I guess the important thing is to think that we're actually focusing on the right thing. What are we actually taking as the problem or the challenge or the issue from the data that we've collected in the empathy stage?
Yeah.
So being able to define the problem is really quite important.
It is, because what's really important is that we're not just using how we perceived the problem when we started this process. We need to be sure that we're taking on board what's important for all those stakeholders.
Yeah. So thinking of a little example, I mean, we were talking a while ago about, sadly, people who are back in the workplace and, the challenges that they're facing because some of their colleagues may be furloughed, some of their colleagues may be sadly being made redundant, but, they're back there having to keep things going. And so it's very easy to make assumptions about what these people in the workplace really need. So if we've got good data from the empathy stage, that will help us to define what is the issue that we're actually trying to address and to be sure of that.
Yeah.
So I guess it's thinking about really, the right problem at the right time. So if I was to offer a couple of tips in terms of how we look at that data, clearly this requires us to use our analytical skills to look for themes, look for patterns. But I would also suggest that we have to look for some of the little nuances in that data. So, sometimes we might have a hunch about something, or we might, have an intuition about something specific. And I think it's always worth following that up, not to rely just on pure analysis of data. So what do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think I remember us having this conversation before where we were talking about, don't accept anything, question everything, and that the importance of curiosity and an inquiring mind and being able to dig deeper and delve deeper.
Yeah, so perhaps that's the thing. Delve deeper when you have to.
Yeah, don't be afraid. Be courageous.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on then, the next stage, once we've defined the actual problem, challenge or issue we want to focus on, the next stage is what they call ideate or ideation.
Yeah.
So what's your view on that?
Yeah, well, I think that's really important. And what you've just been saying about, analysis and intuition are really important here. And it's important because we need to be ensuring that we are creating value for our stakeholders and our consumers. And we want to give our design thinkers the space to play. Let's play with what we've got. Let's push the boundaries in terms of how we look at what we've got and how we think about what we've got. So I think we're looking to try to create a shared meaning here of what it's needed and what it looks like. But we want to be drawing on the creativity of the individuals who are involved in that design thinking process, but also as well encouraging that collaboration between the team members. And again, thinking about examples of the current situation that we're in and examples that are relevant there, I think, we might be looking, for example, a kind of action learning approach within our group of people where we're looking for ideas about how we address the malaise, how do we create a way of working that is collaborative and engaging and reinvigorates that passion, because I think for a lot of people, that's something that has been put at risk during the last few months. What's happened to the passion.
Yeah. And I think the word that comes to me as well, just adding to what you said, is the idea of experimentation. And perhaps that's something that people are not so willing to do because everyone's got their head down and, just trying to keep the business going or trying to keep the operations going. But, it is about taking time out and as you say, getting the old creative juices going again to come up with some ideas that perhaps may have been talked about before, but also about ideas that are, you know, potential for the future.
Yeah, and it's probably very easy to avoid risk at this point. But, you know, as we know, if you're going to be creative and innovative, there has to be an embracing of risk. So I think, you know, if I could offer a couple of tips here, I think that the importance of inclusivity here within the design thinking team, but also the idea that there's a non-judgmental approach, that everything is worthy of consideration. And, you know, I read a phrase in an article recently that talked about embracing the seemingly unimportant or the seemingly impractical. And I think for me, that really kind of resonates, and it just sums up what this ideation is really all about.
Yeah, so that's great. So that's great. It's good to catch up.
Yeah.
It would be really nice to hear from anyone in terms of what their views are, and so they can, you know, contact us, make some sort of comment against this video.
Yeah.
And it would be worth us meeting again to talk about the last two stages, which are taking one of those ideas into the next stage about prototyping that idea and testing it as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Looking forward to it.
So see you again. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.